Did you know that in Chinese medicine there's actually a fifth season that lies between summer and autumn? This is known as late summer, and it's dominated by the earth element, which is all about digestion and nourishment and finding balance. So if you've been feeling a little more bloated or sluggish or ungrounded, or perhaps you're tending right now to worry about things that you typically don't worry about, or you're overthinking things, there's a really good chance that your earth element is out of balance. In this video, I'll explain how to support your digestion, your emotions, and your overall well-being during this transitional time. Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa from Blue Flower Wellness. Welcome to my channel where here I share insights from traditional Chinese medicine or TCM to help you better understand your own health and well-being. Before we begin, I want to be clear that the information in this video is for educational purposes only. And while traditional Chinese medicine has been around for thousands of years, it is not a substitute for professional medical advice. So if you happen to have a health ailment or concern, please do not hesitate or delay to bring that up with a professional healthcare practitioner. This video will explore how TCM views the season of late summer and the earth element, including dietary and lifestyle tips, as well as some holistic approaches that you can use to find balance. I will also reference established sources when discussing health-related topics to ensure accuracy and clarity from the TCM perspective. So let's dive in. So in TCM, the year isn't just divided into 4 seasons, it has 5. Late summer is the short but very powerful transition period between the peak heat of summertime and the coolness of the autumn. It's when the energy of the year begins to shift from the outward expansion of the summer to the inward focus of fall. Think of this as the pause between seasons. Late summer is a time to slow down, to nourish yourself, and to find balance before autumn arrives. So the characteristics here include the element earth, which is governed by the 2 organs, spleen and stomach, which you'll remember from other videos include the digestive function. So we want to be very mindful of nourishing our digestion, especially in this season. The emotion is going to constitute worry or overthinking. The flavor here is sweet, but not an artificial type of sweetness. We're talking about naturally, mildly sweet fruits and vegetables, such as when you take an onion and saute it, it brings out the sweet flavor, or a perfectly ripe piece of fruit. And the color here is going to be yellow or golden tones. So think of the harvest. Think of the warm, sunny summer days of the harvest. So in TCM, the spleen and the stomach are the 2 organs that are key to your digestion. And so what happens here is we eat our food and it's going to go directly into the stomach, which from a TCM perspective is considered to be the holding tank for our food. And then the spleen is actually going to be the one that's doing all of the work to transform and transport our food that we've eaten and create good quality nutrients for our blood. So good quality blood and good quality energy, or our qi. So when these 2 organs are functioning very well, you feel really good. You basically feel well nourished, you feel grounded, you feel confident, you don't have any sort of digestive complaints whatsoever. Things are moving like clockwork and you don't feel any sort of bloating or sluggishness or anything digestive-wise. You just really do feel good because things are energized, they're functioning optimally. However, there are many things that can impair our function for our spleen and our stomach. So let's look at some of the things that could be the result of a sluggish spleen or stomach function from a Chinese medicine perspective. So some common signs that your spleen qi might be weak are going to entail things that revolve around digestion and digestive complaints. So whenever we have bloating and gas and abdominal pain, especially when it's accompanied by diarrhea or loose stools, you know that you're going to have some spleen impairment because the functioning of the spleen is to actually break down that food. So if that's not doing a good job making good energy and good blood for you, Well, the body's just going to say, hey, we don't know what to do with this. This is overwhelming. Let's just expel and get rid of that. So you'll have more diarrhea, loose stools, and abdominal pain, sense of urgency to have a bowel movement. All those things will indicate that your spleen's not doing an optimal job whatsoever. Other symptoms of weak spleen qi can be sugar cravings, of course, and feeling fatigue. Now, fatigue, especially after eating, will be a clear indication of spleen qi deficiency. Now, you might also have weight gain and some excess mucus hanging out here in your body, especially if it's mucus related to your digestive system. So mucousy stools, sometimes even just the clearing of the throat after you eat on a regular basis can be a product of spleen qi not working properly. In that case, it's going up to the lungs, but it's basically creating some excess mucus or excess dampness because the functioning of the spleen isn't working well. And lastly, if you are tending to be worried all the time or chronically overthinking, probably you've got a long-standing spleen qi deficiency because the emotion that is stored with the spleen or with the earth element is one of worry or overthinking. One additional side note is that the spleen governs the intellect, or the yi in Chinese medicine. So that's going to be our ability to focus and to concentrate and to study. And, getting back into September and getting ready back for another school year, your ability to dive in and start absorbing will be a direct reflection of how strong your spleen qi is. If you're not able to retain information and it kind of goes in one ear and out the other and nothing really sticks, probably there's going to be a spleen qi deficiency. And with that being said, brain fog is by far a very, very common indicator that your spleen is not working properly. Because again, if your digestion is sluggish and poor, you don't have that energy coming all the way up from your digestive center, all the way to your mind to create clear thought. So if it's not getting all the way through there because you've got some digestive weakness or some mucus in the digestive center, then you're going to be walking around in a little bit of a daze or a little bit not quite with it or not quite clear, because the clear yang that is supposed to be rising and coming all the way to the very top of the head isn't getting there because there's some form of blockage or deficiency of the energy from the spleen to propagate that. So if you've been noticing that you're having a little bit more digestive imbalance right now, or you are suddenly worrying more so than usual or overthinking things or trying to plan things more so than usual right now, it's probably because the late summer season is affecting your energy. So we'll go over some great ways that you can nourish your spleen energy and get this back into balance. And it's all going to revolve around what you are consuming. Since late summer is connected to nourishment and digestion, the best foods to eat during this season are going to be warm, easy to digest, and naturally sweet. So earth element nourishing foods include all of your root vegetables. They're wonderful here, including all types of squash and pumpkin. So sweet potatoes and yams, parsnips and carrots, beets are really wonderful for not only nourishing spleen, but blood particularly, and all forms of pumpkin and squash. This includes things like butternut squash soup. If you happen to like that type of soup, this is the season for you. So get that in and get it nourishing not only your digestive self, but your emotional and spiritual self as well. So cooked grains such as rice, millet, oats, and barley, again, because they're grounding and they're wholesome and they're very good for your digestion, are going to do wonders for your spleen and stomach here. The herbs that are going to be associated are your warming herbs, so things like ginger and cinnamon and turmeric. They are all going to support your digestion. So again, things like butternut squash soup or chai tea, things of that nature are going to be really good to move towards as we get through this season and moving towards the autumn. And warm soups and stews, as well as any type of congee, so any type of porridge, is going to be very helpful for you here. And then all of your chickpeas and lentils, again, things that are just you think of and they're comfort, they're grounding, they're widespread among the world in terms of cuisine, are really going to help you nourish your spleen energy. Foods to avoid are going to include anything that are too raw, too cold. So think salads and smoothies and basically, carrots and dip. Anything with ice in it is going to be just too cold. So ice cream especially is going to be too cold on the digestive system. Icy drinks and excessive dairy. Dairy in general is not only a damp food, but it's typically cold. So any cold and damp foods are really going to be harmful to our digestion here. And then of course, anything with processed sugar. Sugar in general is damaging to the spleen because it's too much, it's overwhelming. So the spleen loves to have naturally sweet things, but not artificially sweet things or sweet things in high amounts. So you don't want to overdo it on any type of processed sugar or sweet foods in general. You want, naturally sweet foods and vegetables to be able to nourish your spleen. So instead of having an iced coffee or a cold smoothie, try a warm ginger tea or a bowl of porridge, and your digestion will thank you. So for all of you who just had a little panic attack saying, she just said don't have any salads. That's not entirely true. You can still have a salad, but be mindful to balance that salad out. So the raw, cold veggies can be too much for your spleen and stomach. But you can always add a warm chicken breast or a grilled piece of salmon onto your salad. Or if you're going to go meat-free, you could have a ginger soy dressing, something that's going to be warming and spice to warm up the salad. Or you could have a cup of tea or just hot water and lemon with your meal to warm that up. It doesn't have to be to completely avoid all cold foods. It just means to be mindful about having that balance. And that's why you'll find a lot of Asian restaurants will always have green tea on hand, because it's not only good to clear any mucus, the astringent properties of green tea is really good to stop any damp from forming in your system from the foods you're eating, but it's also thermally warm. So it's better assisting your digestive center to do a better job of digesting while you're eating in that restaurant. The earth element is also about emotional balance. So like I said, if you've been feeling ungrounded or scattered or anxious, your earth energy might need some support right now. So here's some things that you can do to stay centered and grounded during this time. So any type of gentle movement activity, things like Tai Chi, Qigong, and yoga can be very helpful. Abdominal self-massage can aid your digestion. So anything around your tummy, just gently rubbing your tummy and getting things to digest and move and stay warm can help. Deep breathing exercises can obviously not only calm the mind, but they can reconnect you, so get you grounded once again. So you could do box breathing, which is going to be breathing in for 4 counts, pausing for 4 counts, breathing out for 4 counts, and pausing for 4 counts. And you can do that in a cycle of 5 or even 10 minutes, and that really helps to get the rhythm going of your breath and really get you grounded and back into your body, especially if you're having any type of anxiety. Now, journaling or self-reflection can really help to process those emotions, so whatever works for you will be beneficial here. So of course, as always, spending time in nature is one of the best ways to nourish the earth element during this time. So if you're able to go for a walk in your park or visit a nearby lake, or head out to the mountains and get into nature and really get observant and start looking at those early signs of, the tree starting to yellow just a little bit as they're ready to make their transition, and the crispness in the air or the dryness under your feet. All of those things are going to help you to be mindful of the transition of the season and nourish your own spleen energy and earth energy, allowing you to make a better transition during this time. So since the emotion of the earth element is worry, get out of your head. You've got to stop watching the news when you're eating your meals or discussing things that are really disturbing to you or emotionally upsetting. Those aren't going to help you to cultivate your spleen qi. What you want to be doing is enjoying your food. So eating slowly and really absorbing what's going on, the flavors that you have and the smells that you have and the company that you're with, even if that company is just you by yourself. Enjoying that time to really nourish your body and your mind as well as your digestion is going to do wonders for helping you transition through the season. So now that you know what to eat, we want to look at exactly one key thing that really prevents people from building good spleen and stomach energy. And of course, that is skipping breakfast. So if you've gotten into the habit of skipping your first meal of the day, say you get up and maybe have a cup of coffee, head out the door, and hours later you're eating your first meal, that is a sign that your spleen and stomach energy is weak, because you should have hunger in the early hours when you first get up. After you've been up for a few minutes, you should start to feel the early pangs of hunger, meaning your digestive center is working really well and it's saying, hey, please nourish me. So you should be eating something first thing in the morning, and it should be something that's warming, like a porridge, or something with, a hot beverage, a tea or a coffee, that can help kind of stoke that digestive fire first thing right off the hop. And that will only enable your digestive center or your metabolism to keep going throughout the day. So if you stall it out first thing in the morning with a Frappuccino from Starbucks, you're going to be sluggish and slow all day. And I'm sorry to say, but your metabolism is going to be absolutely just as low as it possibly can be. So try to warm things up. Try to have a healthy, hearty breakfast first thing in the morning. And you might have to start slow there, eating, something more minimal and then working your way up to a bigger breakfast first thing in the morning. But do make that a habit. Do not skip breakfast. It won't do you any benefit. So not only is your spleen and stomach energy going to be impacted by what you physically ingest, it's also going to be impacted by what you mentally ingest. So be very mindful of the things that you're going to be consuming, whether that's social media or the news or complaints from a neighbor, or perhaps your colleagues are really in a negative tailspin about something going on or some situation, or the fear of what could come from a situation. All you have to do is just disconnect from that energy. So basically, whatever you've got to do to tune it out, focus on something different, turn off the TV, get off social media, whatever that is, because these things are not going to help you to cultivate good nourishment for your spleen and stomach. They're actually going to be distracting and probably causing some of the actual stomach upset that you might be having in the late summer season. So on top of all of the dietary and lifestyle advice that I've already recommended, you can also be going for acupuncture. Now, acupuncture is perfect to do at the transition of the seasons. Why? Because it will help you if you have any resistance in that transition from one element to the other. And it can also help you if you happen to have any deficiencies that are now made to be more exacerbated with the transition that's happening. So if you can't get in for acupuncture, you can do acupressure on your own and help yourself along through this transition. The number one point that you want to look at here is a point called spleen 9. Now, spleen 9 is located on the inside part of the lower leg, in the depression of the lower border of the medial condyle of the tibia, right below the knee. The easiest way to find this point is to run your thumb up along the edge of the bone on the inside of your lower leg until it falls into a little depression. And when you press on that depression at spleen 9, it will probably feel pretty tender. If it's tender, that means that it is actually indicated for acupressure or acupuncture. It means your body actually needs that point. And this is the pivotal point for resolving dampness anywhere in the body. So if you gently press on this point for 20 to 30 seconds, it can help relieve any abdominal discomfort, bloating, gas pains, lethargy after eating, and any sort of edema, swelling, any kind of urinary difficulties that you might have, and definitely any urinary tract infections or yeast infections, because like I said, it is the pivotal point for dampness. Now, this can also help you if you have any trapped emotional stuckness in the body in terms of worrisome or anxious thoughts that are, in a circular pattern. You can't get that to stop. It's incessant. They continue to creep up and you can't really break that cycle. If you massage spleen 9, that will really help to interrupt that pattern, because it's, like I said, going to work on that digestive function and getting you grounded once again and helping to quell any anxiety. So press spleen 9 to help break the pattern and ease your mind of those worrisome thoughts. So there you have it. Late summer is the perfect time to nourish yourself, support digestion, and balance your body and mind. By aligning with the earth element, you can move into the autumn season feeling grounded, clear, and strong. So if you've happened to notice any of the digestive or emotional changes that might be affecting you based on this late summer season, let me know in the comments. I'd be curious to see what you come up with, and perhaps what foods you really like to eat during this time of year. As always, if you found this video helpful, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends so we can help other people gather the wisdom that is traditional Chinese medicine in order to help themselves gain that health and vitality that we all deserve. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care of your spleen and stomach. Qi.